Well, hello. We're now on to the second variety. This is called kernling, but you don't need to worry about that. And this responds much better to what we call cane pruning or replacement pruning. So, this is last year's vine. They look rather the same as the one before, except we don't build up a permanent cordon along here. In fact, what we're going to do is take all this off. The wires, of course, by the way, I should have mentioned before, are to support the growth in the summer. When you need them, at the moment they just get in the way. So a lot of pruning is basically just cutting the tendrils off the wires and stuff. So this looks a bit severe. It's a bit of a skinhead haircut, really. But you'll see what's going to happen in a minute. This, I think, will take all that away. Sorry, I'm watching the vine rather than the camera because it's kind of important you don't cut the wrong bit. Pruning is a very interesting job. It might seem that, well, there are thousands of vines here, that it becomes a bit repetitive, but in fact, a bit like children, every vine is slightly different, and some of them are quite challenging, really. The key thing to remember is that once you cut it, you can't stick it back again. So when in doubt, you go slowly. Now I'll show you what we're about to do here. This is cane or replacement pruning. It's also called guillot pruning. This is double guillot, where we're going to put two canes down. Monsieur Guillot was French, I think, a few hundred years ago. Right. Here's a convenient clip from last year. So, we're going to be a bit careful, especially, we don't normally do this in January, in fact, because the sap's not running and the vines aren't very flexible. So it's quite easy to break the stems. But we're going to have one of last year's shoots down there, one the other side. You can hear it creaking a little bit like my joints. This is very important because we need that for next year. And there we are, guillot prune vine. So what's going to happen is that each of these buds, the nodes on the vine, will grow a shoot. So that'll be this year's growth from last year's wood, each of which will have 2 or 3 bunches of grapes on. The shoots we train up through the wires, and then the reason it's called replacement pruning, of course, is because we replaced nearly all the vine except for the crown at the centre, and we've left this spur not to have grapes on like we did before, but so that you get 1, 2, 3 shoots, ideally for next year, so that when we come to prune this time next year, we've got 1, 2, 3 shoots, all growing nicely in the right place. That's the idea. Vines, of course, haven't read the book. They don't always do exactly the right thing. That's guillot or replacement pruning. Cane pruning is also called.